The idea of designing and building a garden from scratch can feel pretty daunting, especially when the only gardens around you are fully established. So, today I'm going to show you through a relatively young garden to explore its layout and structure and get you started in designing and building your own. This is the home of a friend of mine, Michelle. You've already planted all these trees, the fruit trees down there?
Yes.
Yeah. And a few years ago, I worked with her to design this as a permaculture garden that could be really functional. It's almost 1 year old now, and it's sustainable and beautiful. It's about 600 square metres, which is generous, but a fairly standard suburban block. If you're planning a new productive garden, there's lots to think about before you start getting plants in the ground. They'll vary a bit from site to site, but there are a few constants. Water is life, which is lucky because there's plenty of it around today. It's also one of the first things you should consider when you're designing your garden. This includes researching how much rainfall you get in your region and how it moves across your landscape. This property was a steep slope, so rain was shooting off it, leaving the top dry and the bottom wet. So we did some earthworks, creating some terraces to slow and sink water deeply and evenly into the soil, passively irrigating the plants. To retain the terraces, we went for these gorgeous large boulders which will last forever. They also double as seating and provide nifty pockets of soil to plant into, creating a living wall. Also, think about putting annual veggie patches that will require more watering and irrigation closer to the taps for maximum efficiency. It's important to work with your garden's existing microclimates. For example, this house casts solid winter shade all over this area. But instead of ignoring the space, we've planted some deciduous fruit trees and shrubs which don't need any winter sun at all and can still flourish in the abundant summer sun. At the other end of the garden, we have a different extreme. Lots of sun, except not today. To address this in a relatively quick and efficient way, we've built this funky pergola here. We've got some beautiful grape and kiwi vines to grow up and over to eventually provide some nice summer shade, while still allowing all that winter sun to stream through when they drop their leaves. Now remember, we started this garden as a clean slate. We're pretty exposed here to lots of elements, including some gnarly winds from the south. To soften these, we're going to be planting some nice evergreen natives behind me and a mixed orchard down below. This will provide food, beauty, habitat and increased privacy. A permaculture principle, or really a central design principle for many gardens, is creating spaces and structures that are multifunctional, meaning they're doing more than one job. For example, these chickens don't just lay eggs, they also eat lots of food scraps and green waste from the garden. And as their chook run is running along this boundary fence, they'll stop any weeds creeping in from neighbouring gardens. Plus, they also create this beautiful deep litter compost with the straw absorbing all the poo and rain, which will eventually go back onto the veggie patch. And this is not just a seat, it's also a worm farm. This is where you can send your kitchen waste to turn into yummy food for your garden. Simply made out of an old bathtub in a timber frame. And of course, no garden is complete without compost. Up the back is a large compost bay for bulk green waste, complete with this handy path to make it easily accessible. There is some steam coming up there. It's beautiful. It is. Oh yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. There's also some worm towers in the annual vegies where lots of worms like to hang out. A worm tower is simply a bucket with holes drilled into the sides so worms can come and go. It makes sense to compost where you're going to need it most, in the food garden. In a well-designed garden, there's no such thing as waste. Everything is put back into the system as every last scrap has value. Making some time to do some planning before you start building the garden is really important, but it can also be a lot of fun. So, take some time out, put down that shovel, pick up your pen and paper, and let yourself do some dreaming.